Valentine's Day is behind us, but it is now time to look back and honor some of the most iconic couples in WWE history. I'm Sam Laterna, and today we take a look at 5 WWE superstars who were often featured in romantic storylines throughout the years, and yes, with multiple partners. During her incredible Hall of Fame career, Lita has had her fair share of romantic on-screen involvements in WWE. The first of those came when she first broke into WWE alongside the Hardy Boys, which included her then real-life boyfriend, Matt Hardy. Their relationship was no secret, and it was often featured on WWE programming. In 2004, Lita became involved in a twisted love angle with the Big Red Machine, Kane. This relationship saw her get abducted, be forced into said relationship, get abused, and even suffer an on-screen miscarriage, which we know isn't very on-brand with the current WWE programming. But I digress, because when Lita got off that love roller coaster from hell with Kane, she hopped onto Edge's love roller coaster, and boy did it get weird, because Edge, Lita, and Matt Hardy had an on-screen story for the ages that bled real life into televised story angles, and it was incredible. Following that gritty feud, things got truly rated R in 2006 between Edge and Lita. The rest is history. That's for another video. Red is the color of love, and Kane is the Big Red Machine. It is by this that we are not exaggerating. The Devil's favorite demon was indeed quite the playboy during his WWE tenure. His first on-screen relationship began in 1999 with Tori. Tori ultimately wound up cheating on poor Kane with X-Pac and joining D-Generation X, but it was Kane who got the final laugh at WrestleMania 2000 when Tori was the victim of a crazy stinky stinkface by Rikishi. And remember that love roller coaster from hell that happened in 2004 with Lita? Well, Kane was in the driver's seat of that, and while the couple might have slightly endeared themselves to WWE fans, it's best that that ended for everyone involved. Kane's next relationship would come years later in the form of AJ Lee, who would ultimately wind up costing him a title opportunity, but gift us the team that became Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane. Trish Stratus is the original WWE diva, one of the best to ever lace up a pair of boots, and by virtue of that, she's had her fair share of on-air romantic dalliances in WWE. The first and probably the most memorable was with the chairman of the board himself, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. The storyline involved Trish, Vince, and the McMahon family quickly becoming unhinged, but ultimately cementing Trish's legacy as one of the top names in the company at that time. A follow-up to that relationship was a short-lived love affair between The Rock and Trish Stratus that ultimately saw us seeing this lovely, beautiful couple share an on-screen kiss for the ages. Wrestling fans wanted this duo to take the wrestling world by storm, but history had other plans as we see The Rock and Trish Stratus went their separate ways. Finally, we have Trish's relationship with Christian and Chris Jericho, two fellow Canadians that were both vying for her attention, and ultimately, Trish wound up creating such a rift between the two men that they wound up engaged in a bitter, long-term feud. I've gotta say, I can't help but admit I'd want a little bit of Stratusfaction if I was one of the WWE Superstars. Throughout her remarkable run in WWE, AJ Lee had a number of on-screen romances with several WWE superstars. On the main roster, she began dating eventual World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan, a championship that she would eventually cost him at WrestleMania 28. The program started involving other wrestlers the likes of Kane, CM Punk, and even John Cena. Lee would date all of these men in order to justify her crazy persona, before she ultimately decided to settle on Dolph Ziggler in 2012. To give you an idea of why he's number one on this list, Dolph Ziggler literally has a shirt for sale that says "Stealing the Show and Your Girlfriend." But I digress. Ziggler's first serious relationship on screen was with Vicky Guerrero, who doubled as his manager. Vicky ultimately led him to championship gold, if not for a couple of hours. All was well until 2012, when Ziggler traded in Vicky Guerrero for AJ Lee. The two would date until 2013, when Ziggler needed a little bit of a break from the unhinged, crazy AJ Lee and from love itself. It wasn't until 2015 when Ziggler once again resumed an on-screen relationship with Lana. Unfortunately, due to Lana's real-life circumstances of getting engaged to WWE superstar Rusev, this going viral, that storyline had to be scrapped, and ultimately Ziggler was out of love for a couple of years. But in recent times, we've seen Ziggler vie for the love and the praise of Mandy Rose, even trying to go so far as to get her to not be involved with Otis. We'll have to see what's next for Mr. Stealing the Show and Stealing Your Girlfriend.